Hi guys, it's me again, and today we're going to talk about some minimums and corrections, because I unfortunately have made a couple mistakes that I want to rectify, about something that I mentioned yesterday on my vlog about the MREs. I talked to somebody who is more familiar with these, and these are equipped with heating facilities. They have a ability to heat the contents of the food. This happens to be beef stew. How that works, I do not know. I just know that according to him, he said that this does have the ability to heat up. By the way, this packaging is made by Silpaco Packaging in Mullen, South Carolina. So this is the MRE, and this is, of course, is U.S. inspected by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And like I said, these are preheating. And what you have inside this beef stew is you got a couple things in here. It's all supposed to be for package for a meal. Now, the only thing I can see a problem with this would be is the fact is that this product is you're going to need to get it open somehow. So obviously you're going to need to use eating utensils. So you're going to need a knife to cut this open. And yes, if you're familiar with eating habits from the Middle Ages, you would know you could use a knife or a dagger to eat with this as well. So you don't necessarily need a fork. Of course, most modern people today in the 21st century are familiar with having a fork. So you might want to have a plastic fork or metal fork available in your cutlery set for these MREs. Now, I also wanted to talk to you about something I mentioned about Tom Lupshoe has been mentioning. Tom Lupshoe and several other people, including Alicia Haven, have talked about Jade Helm 15. Now, Jade Helm 15 is a military exercise to test the use of the military working with local and state law enforcement agencies to test for readiness for martial law. It's not affecting everywhere. It's primarily is in the South and Southwest. Now, it's kind of interesting to think about that because the fact is that we don't hear much about Jade Helm here in the Northeast. Now, doesn't mean that they couldn't be coming up in June when they're supposed to start the exercises. They're going to come to Connecticut probably. But I do want to talk to you about a few other things as well. But so let's finish what I'm saying with Jade Helm. What it is the government is trying to turn anybody who does not agree with the American government into the enemy combatant. And there has been a lot of propaganda produced by the National Security Agency, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I mentioned NSA, even though it's not specifically mentioned, because the NSA has been using their phone record system to try to say that, American phones must be tapped, monitored, and watched because they could all be part of the insurgency kind of thing where we're all bad people. Of course, that's not the case. We all know that there's a lot of good, honest American people that have never done anything wrong with the government and have no desire to cause harm to anybody. And yet they are concerned about what is going to happen to them in the future. Let's check this out here. Well, the question is why is DHS, FBI, doing these exercises at this point? Apparently, it's because of the concern related to ISIL. that ICL has already said potentially has infiltrated the American homeland. So we may already have ICL cells in this country, and so there's concern of homegrown terrorism, either in support of ICL or in concert with a homegrown version of ICL. Either one, bad juju for you. Now, that's not comfortable at all. In fact, that makes me a little bit concerned that ICL is getting so powerful and is actually starting to infiltrate a good portion of the heartland of the United States. However, you also got your own American sympathizers, as I said, with ICL, Muslim and non-Muslim alike, which would do whatever they can to try to discredit and destroy what they consider is a tyranny. We're talking about the United States government. I do not encourage any kind of destruction or harming of any lawfully applied government institution. In fact, I don't want you to go out there and think that I want to see you go out there and hurt innocent bystanders. I do not encourage that. In fact, I would strongly ask you to please not do this. We already have enough problems in this country. And I'm going to go through and talk about some of them really quickly because they are really becoming quite apparent to me as I research. Now, one of the nice things about... Excuse me, I just got my... I hate when my fingernails are breaking like this. One of the things that worries me is that the large portion of the American people have become so passive to the concept that we think that everything is going to be fine. One of the reasons we have done that is through propaganda. One of the biggest propaganda machines, of course, is no less than Tinseltown and Madison Avenue in New York City. Both Los Angeles and New York have been promoting through their media, which includes the news media as well. The news media very much so wants to make a buck. We know that for a long time the news was never a real moneymaker for a network TV station. And so these groups have found out that they can sensationalize a story and people want to turn in, and of course they can encourage advertisers to put their advertising on their channel, such as CNN or MSNBC, whatever, and they will come in and watch those channels, and that is how the news gets money. But in order to keep both the consumer and the companies watching and buying ad space is to keep sensationalizing certain news articles that they think the public is going to love to want to watch. For example, we know that they've been pushing a lot of situations like with Apple and the stock market and everything else, certain things that sell, certain sensational stories. I can't think of any current ones right at this moment, but certainly ICL are a big one. They keep pushing it. ICL. And now, of course, we're finding out as we go on and watching the the world news. I watch Russian television as well as Fox News, so I get news from both a American source and a Russian source. I also read articles from the watch news from the BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation. So I watch news from all kinds of places in the world, specifically because our news media is controlled by corporations that want to sell. So certain things that they can sensationalize, that's what they're going to do. They're going to sensationalize the news article, sensationalize the news story, and people are going to watch that. Unfortunately, sometimes they will do that to sensationalize a certain news story, and then we find out that the rest of the news stories are not even talked about or just show up as a tiny ticker on the bottom of the screen. This is the reason why I have a really hard time when watching television, not only because of my eyesight, which certainly is an issue, but also because the fact is that the truth is that the real news is being basically swept under the rug, literally, into that tiny little spot on the bottom of the screen. And it's only a blurb, it's not really the full news article. Now, I got some other news too, also to discuss with you today. And news that is not really talked much about. And I wanted to talk to Justin about Jade Helm, is because there's a lot of concerns going on with the economy and the world around us. Now, we find out, for example, as we go through, that a lot of American people are really not doing as well economically as we thought. A lot of families are really falling into the cracks. They don't have the resources that they need. One of the reasons, what was pointed out by several people, is American people have not been saving their assets. They've not been saving their money. In fact, we often outspend what we make in the form of credit extensions. What do I mean? Well, for example, you want something, you can get it for credit. Like 90 days to pay kind of thing, right? Well, what happens is that's money you don't really have. It's not on you alone and you got to pay back. But that means that those things that you're paying back on credit means that you can't make sure you have food on your table, and you can't make sure you have food. You can't make sure you have shoes on your feet because you're paying out to somebody else for that washer and dryer that you wanted to have. But guess what? You don't even have any clothes to wash in the first place because you didn't buy any clothes, because you bought a washer and dryer, but you have no clothes to wash. So, I know that's kind of extreme, but the truth is that's exactly what's happening, is that there's concern among the millennials especially, is there's no consensus to save money for the future, retirement. Because a lot of millennials tend to think that they're gonna live forever. They got 30 plus years, big deal, yada yada yada. Not gonna have to worry about that because mom and dad will take care of me. Well, unfortunately, mom and dad are older than you, so yeah, they may not be there to take care of you when you are, old and gray yourself. So, and of course, we know that the social insecurity program is possibly within the next 15-20 years may also be poof, gone. Now, what about is there anything good that could happen to help get the American people back on the right track? I'm glad you brought that up, because there is couple things that Congress keeps trying to push. Did push originally. It pushed NAFTA and GATT, which was the beginning of the end of the American creativity, because of the fact is it's cheaper to get Chinese-made stuff than it is to make it here. There is a new discussion about the Trans Partnership Program, or TPP, which President Obama wants to push, i.e. it's another free trade program, kid. You know what that means, right? Born made in China, Eco y Mexico. Okay? The problem is a good portion of his Democrats are finally saying, no, we're not going to do this. We don't believe it's the answer. And they're right, it's not. In fact, by giving more of our jobs over to other countries such as China, it's not going to help American companies begin the process of rebuilding the economy. In fact, even the union workers are against TPP. I'm against TPP. I'm against NAFTA and GATT, incidentally, too, but unfortunately, guess what? They already passed. So, unless we repeal NAFTA and GATT, well, we're screwed. So, all the stuff that's happening to the American economy is we're circling the drain, and there's not going to be much you can do to stop that. It's just going to happen. The American consumer, as I said, for a long time had been living high off the hog, and now the meat has gotten rancid and they're getting sick. Speaking of that, there was a potluck dinner at a church up in Ohio where some of the potluck food apparently was contaminated with botulism, and one parishioner died and 20 were sickened by this. They don't know where the botulism came from. Apparently, I guess somebody who cooked food for the potlatch did not properly exercise proper food handling procedures, because it was cooked at home, brought into the church. It's not like they're guaranteed that the home is inspected by the Department of Health to make sure it meets code. So that's the reason why you got to be careful with potlatches, because you don't know what you're getting into, especially if the person does not know proper food, health, and safety policies. This town, some of these people ended up in Fairview Hospital up in Ohio, and they said since there obviously will be an investigation into this church for their potlatch to determine what happened, what food was contaminated by botulism, which caused such a severe case of food poisoning. And that's a good concern to bring up because of the issue of the tough times upon us. We may be willing to risk our lives and our health eating suspect food, or unfortunately, it has happened in several second and third world countries, suspected of contaminated medicines as well. We have actually reports of many middle-income and low-income countries where tainted and poorly manufactured medicines have caused a lot of illnesses. One of the people that worked with them is the medical doctor here from the United States, from the World Health Organization, has said that the situation is that we need to have a global watchdog to make sure that all medicines are free of tampering, and make sure that all medications are made with proper stringent and safety adherence, which is absolutely true. I'm glad to bring that up because we don't know. A lot of products nowadays, because of globalization, is made in China and third world countries, and we don't know what's in those pills. This medication we're talking about was designed for malaria, and unfortunately made a lot of children and adults sick. So we need to be careful for that. What is out there in the economy? People are so desperate right now that they're willing to basically sacrifice their soul to make a buck. Now, speaking of making a buck, I want to briefly bring up a point of view which I think is very important to consider. My poor landlord, he is unfortunately in an uncomfortable position at this point. The contractor that was supposed to work on his porch has not come back to start the work. I suspect something bad, which is, I think, the guy is trying to take advantage of my landlord, and by not even getting his crew out there to start cleaning up the wood that has broken off the porch, or even trying to begin the range to have a dumpster on the site, a construction waste dumpster. He has not done any of this, and so therefore I believe that he's taken my landlord for a bath, and it's not in the water he likes. Okay? Unfortunately, my landlord is an older man, so there you have this possibly exploiting a senior citizen, which kind of makes me a little bit angry, put it bluntly. I'd like to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but you know what? I would definitely say it definitely does not sound like I'm too far from right. That this contractor is taking advantage of my landlord. One, his lack of clear understanding of the American language, and second of all, taking advantage of his, unfortunately, lack of construction technology. So I'm concerned about that, because obviously it's going to hurt us, all of us tenants, in the long run, and we don't know what is going on, because even our landlord can't tell us. He doesn't know either. No, but we can tell you about is the weather forecast for the next few days, because if the so-called contractor was going to start his job, the next few days may be just the perfect opportunity. Starting as of tomorrow, the rain will cease to be a major issue. However, what is not going to be a minor issue is that we have a cold front. That right now the rain that we're experiencing is the lead end of a cold front coming in from the west, moving east. This is it's coming in from the northwest. This is excuse me, is a big deal because it's going to be bringing the nighttime temperatures here in Connecticut down to 0 degrees Celsius at night. Yes, we are not out of the frost danger yet, so I would just recommend, please do diligence if you're going to start your garden yet, because maybe just not the right time to do it. That's because, as the National Oceanic Administration has pointed out, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has pointed out, we here in the East Coast of the United States are having the most significant cold spell, whereas the Western United States, it seems to be having the hottest time on record for this time of year. So, therefore, you may need to keep some extra fuel on hand as you go through the next few weeks, because it is going to be varying the temperatures. It does show that by the 30th of April that the temperatures will modulate closer to where they should be, but I've heard the wind blow before. I know what it's going to do. Yeah. Unfortunately, this crazy weather has also affected me, and it's given me a bloody cold. Yesterday I was really sniffling, sneezing, snorting, and my nasal passages were draining. My sinuses were plugged up. Felt like crap. I had to do paperwork for Jimmy. I got the paperwork done, but I just felt like I was gonna die personally. Of course I'm not. I'm fine. By the way, the reason why I'm not sleeping at the Yellow House right now in the rear is because the fact is he only has a quarter of a tank of heating oil in there, and guess what? With all the cold temperatures coming in until possibly Thursday, not next week, actually probably until Saturday, it's just better to lay in my apartment and stay warm. My heat is brought to you by wonderful people of Cupertino, California. Apple Computer, Macintosh Power Mac G5 heats in my apartment pretty nice. Right now the temperature in here is 24 degrees Celsius. It's not freezing, far from it. And actually it was so hot yesterday, I actually had to open the window because it was just unbelievably hot in here from the computer alone. And I didn't even have the studio lights on yesterday. Today we have the studio lights on because right now I'm doing a video. So, of course, after we're done, we turn them off. So, yes, my apartment indeed does have electric heat. At the same time it heats my home, it computes as well. So I get my Power Mac G5 doubles as a computer and a heat source, which is just as good because the electric heater is sitting in the Yellow House. And I don't feel like going back to grab it right now, and I don't think I need to. So yeah, I definitely do want to see the situation on the porch get done, but I got a feeling, like I said earlier, that my landlord is being taken for a ride, and I don't like it very much. And it's not his fault. Now, what about the other things in my list of my life, which I never really talked about? Well, let's talk about the next thing. Let's talk about where I'm going to go. What's my next plan in life? What am I going to do now? What's my next project? I don't have a plan. Honest with you, I do not have a plan. I have no idea what my next plans are because I keep planning up something, and then it never works out quite the way I expected it to go, and that is indeed why I get a little bit frustrated, is why in the heaven's name I can't seem to figure out if I'm coming or going. So why don't we just talk about the things that I can tell you, and then we'll take it from there. As I mentioned a couple days ago, my eyes are doing much better. Thank you very much. I can certainly see a lot better. I can certainly read books, as I mentioned, and I do not see a significant halo around the light fixture in front of me or the light fixture above me or next to me. I see a little bit of halo, but nothing to the point where it is positively debilitating. I'm actually able to do a lot of the stuff that I was doing. I know a lot of you, including Jonathan Ung, are very happy to know that I'm doing better, and I certainly am very thankful of your appreciation. I also would like to ask you all if you guys could help me out financially. We still could use some help for the next few weeks. We kept planning on different projects, and we ended up having to defer them because I owe some back bills because of my little stay at the hotel. Because of the porch situation, I am a little short on the extra funds. I could really use the help with, we gotta back up the computer and we need more tapes. We don't have any right now. I just took the last of the DLT4s out of the tape drive after I backed them up today on the computer. So now they are sitting in our archives in the catacombs. So we need more tapes so that we can do more routine backups. So if you feel like making a donation, please do. We really could use it. You can make a donation to me at Patreon at www.patreon.com/BICHELA, or you can make a donation to me at GoFundMe at www.gofundme.com/BICHELA. If you just want to skip all the middleman and go straight to the horse, you can send a payment right to my PayPal account. That is BICHELA3 at yahoo.com. That's the one account, or, because I have two, BICHELA3 at gmail.com. Any donations you give would be great. I could use the help. Especially, we've had many wonderful donations from you in the past. I could still use some help now to ensure that we have the materials to keep our computers up and running, because of fact is our videos depend on the computers to work, and backing them up is not just a good idea. It actually, I could come up with a joke about it, but let's be honest, if I don't and they break, then I'm offline. Period. Okay? That's no joke. That's serious. So, I could use your help. And, I am going to be cooking something tonight. I was going to make some rotini with mozzarella cheese and some garlic powder and basil. I'll probably make that tonight. It's not really the most exciting, but you know what? That's okay. I'm going to try with my case manager tomorrow, and we're going to try to get some more fresh fruits here to tide me over until next week, until I get paid again. So we can do something. And if you listen carefully in the background, you will hear the sound of rain. And yes, it is raining outside right now where I am, and it will be raining on and off pretty much for the next few nights, or most of the night anyway, because of the fact, as I said, we have this cold front that's coming in, and it is going to be windy, it's going to be cold, and it is not going to be fun. So yeah, we are going to have to, I'm going to have to throw some cats in the bed tonight and keep warm. Of course, I will make sure that I make my Power Mac G5 sweat or work really hard so I have some extra heat. I was going to defrag the hard drive anyway. I wouldn't do it tonight because if it gets too windy, that computer is going to fail and could crash the hard drive. That's true. And I did back it up just recently. Yeah, but that's not the point. Okay. What's it like to not have access to a television set, and why do I keep bringing this topic up? I love the question, and you have never answered it. I will answer it. Okay. I bring the topic up because of the fact that Americans have gotten so used to television. We have a love-hate relationship with the idiot box. And again, this has to do with propaganda, and yes, it does have a lot to do with propaganda. Buying and selling, pimps and whores. Just like the Dean says in the movie Accepted. The whole idea of buying and selling is all it's all about. Is making money, selling products that make you feel inferior if you don't buy them. Unfortunately, that also results in people wanting to basically spend money they don't have by extending lines of credit they cannot afford. And given this economy right now, that's just like a train wreck waiting to happen. At $129 a month for a satellite programming bill, I cannot really seriously continue morally or ethically afford to continue on with the sham because of the fact is that the programming stinks on ice. The sad truth is that most people don't realize just how terrible the American TV has become because we're so enwrapped in this media. Those of us who have picked up the calculator and actually calculated the dollars and the cents realize that the money that we're throwing away for the idiot box could easily have been used to pay for possibly a few nights out at the cinema, or possibly a few nights out going to, say, bowling, or even, for that matter, going to enjoy a nice dinner at a nice restaurant. That's quite a bit of change. It's discretionary spending, but it's true that there are some people who do like to watch television, and there are some people that watch the television like to eat Doritos, one after the other, without any consideration of what they're doing to themselves or to their mind. Unfortunately, the television can also contaminate your mind with ways that is absolutely positively unacceptable. Let's talk about some examples of what I'm talking about here. You get involved with TV commercials for different products. Hi, Mr. Cat. You know, like, for example, I was watching... He just came in because he's all wet. You're all soaky wet, Mr. Cat. Don't show Angela your ass. Show her your face instead. Sorry, Angela, he wants to show you his ass. His ass is wet. He's wet. Anyway, so the point is that the American television is always trying to make us look bad, making us feel inadequate. And so we see products like Insight, Natural Male Enhancement, or is your boobs too small? Well, get the boob shaker, make them bigger with the super mega vacuum pump that sucks those tiny titties and makes them huge. Actually, that lesson doesn't exist as a product in TV, but they certainly would be something that your mass media people would love to promote. Or how about, all the other products on the market? You're not eating well, so you need to take a multivitamin supplement. Really? Some people, that is a problem. I'm certainly in that area. I guess so. I guess some insurer wouldn't hurt me any. But the point is just that. Or what we say is, have you called Jenny yet? Why do I have to call Jenny? To lose weight. Well, what's wrong with my weight? You're fat. So what? I don't mind. It's okay with me. I'm all fat. It doesn't make me a bad person. Oh, but that's another thing altogether. I'll talk about that in a bit. If I'm fat and I'm happy with my image, then that is not a reason for me to worry about calling Jenny. Okay? Or Nutrisystem. Is that we have created this idea. Also, TV shows often promote the concept of lifestyle that we all have to have big fancy houses with lots of rooms. And top-of-the-line computers and everything to be truly happy, and that all American people have houses that are like enormous and big yards. Guess what? That's a bullshit story. A lot of Americans don't even have that. Did you know that a good portion of Americans today do not even think they can even achieve owning a house? Even the best of people have said that the economy is not, or they feel confident enough that they can achieve the American dream of getting a house. But yet, these programs constantly talk about the economy, and the fact is that home ownership is a privilege. or a right. I love the right part. Home ownership is a right. All Americans have the right to own a home. Okay, great. Gee, that's nice. I didn't see that in the Constitution. Did you? No, not me. Okay. So if it's a right, it wasn't a right by our forefathers of the United States Constitution. I mean, not that they were poor by any stretch of the imagination. Jefferson certainly wasn't poor. Monticello, he was a major successful estate, but homeownership is not a God-given right. Sorry, it's true. Now, I got a message from a young man a couple of days ago, and he wouldn't shut up. I gotta be honest with this. This Chinese, I don't know if he's Chinese, I definitely was Asian, young man told me, "Oh, internet is for young people. You're an old 47-year-old fart. Get off the internet, Grandma. And while you're at it, lose some weight, too." Gee, that's kind of interesting. Did anyone tell me that the internet was only for kids? No, it's not. It's open to anybody, and anybody can use the internet for a variety of uses. There's people in this internet community that are certainly older than me. There are grandmothers. There's 100-plus-year-old woman that's on Facebook, and she is very much happily using the Facebook social media site. My aunt is on Facebook. My uncle's on Facebook. There are family members of my connections that are on Facebook that are easily 60 and 70 years old. Don't tell me, you little damn stupid Asian, that you think just because I'm an old person that I do not have the right to use the internet. Besides, the fact is, I was one of the many people who was around when the internet was still an idea originally part of DARPANet. And it was created as a system of allowing for TCP/IP back in 1982 to the Department of Research, to the Department of Defense. It was actually the internet as we know today was created as a means to have communications regardless of cells go down or whatever, such as nuclear attack. It was created in the form that we know today around 1981. In 1981, my friend, you little stupid Asian whippersnapper, I was in 7th grade. 7th grade. Don't tell me that I'm too old to use the internet. Because I know stories about the internet you do not know. I've been here, I've been there, I've done it, I've been through it. I was around when all the dot-com bust. I was all around on the bulletin board era. I was around and the first Trojans and worms showed up. I was around. I've been there. I know it's facts and figures you don't know. And like I said, I'm still learning and I'm still growing. And thanks to Mother and Father God, I can now read books again, and I'm going to continue my education as I have been. And I don't give a crying. I don't care what you think. I'm going to keep my studies up. I am 47 years old, young, and I have still got at least another 40 years left. I'm going to do the best I can with those 40 years. I'm going to kick ass, and I'm going to take names, and I'm going to be there. That's something you can promise me. And when you are my age, and you got a big giant pot belly, and you're balding because of your DHT, and you're going to be sitting there, and you're going to be wearing your glasses, they're going to be 3 times thicker. And maybe by that time you'll be a father, maybe even a grandfather. And your grandkids are going to say to you, "Oh, Grandpa, you're too old to use the internet. Give it up now. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me." And you can basically think back to what you tried to tell MicheleMarieDalene back in 2015. I am not too old to use the internet, and I am not too fat. I have told you the truth. I do have a weight issue, but you got worse. You got foot in your mouth disease. That's what your problem is. You don't even understand anything about what you're saying. You're a millennial wannabe. You want to think that you're top because you're having a hard time just like the rest of us. And instead of facing the honest truth, admitting that you're not sure what you're going to do for the rest of your life, you sit there and you razz and insult the rest of us who are doing the same thing you're doing, but trying to do it with justified grace and poised dignity. That, my dear friend, is the sad reality. I may be the North American Snow Queen from Yule Coronation, but I'm MicheleMarieDalene, 365 and a quarter days a year, and that's exactly what I am, and that's exactly who I am. And if you may not like it, I'll tell you right now, bite me. You don't like what I got to say, that's fine. Change the channel. I don't have a problem if you don't like what I got to say, but I do have the God-given right and the Constitution of this country to say what I've got to say, and I'm going to say it. And for the rest of you guys, I'm really sorry you had to hear that, but it is the truth. But anyway, for now, I want to just say thank you for all of you for listening. Even this young gentleman, if he's stomach still with us, please do not be afraid to like or dislike, share with your friends and enemies. And yes, do comment in the comment section below. And if you have the opportunity, please do subscribe to this channel. It lets me know that you at least are interested in what I got to say. And lastly, if you can make a donation to help defray our operating expenses, I really would help. It really would help a lot. You can make a donation to, as I said, to www.patreon.com/BICHELA or www.gofundme.com/BICHELA, or you can go straight to the horse's mouth and PayPal me the donations to either BICHELA3 at yahoo.com or BICHELA3 at gmail.com. Your participation and assistance is greatly appreciated. And for now, I'm going to let you go. Have a nice night, guys. Stay warm, stay dry, stay safe. Bye-bye.